Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Rakak. I want to say Shalom to Akmanakwath out there, pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. And I don't have a title for this one yet. It's going to be on the topic of reincarnation, specifically dealing with, Nero 47, all right, this guy Donald Trump, all right, and of course, Nero, all right, an old Roman emperor or ruler of some sort. I don't know if he was, what his necessary position was, but I've been wanting to go on and do on the topic of reincarnation again for a little bit. For quite some time, at least since I ended the 7 essentials, at least, because we talked a little bit about reincarnation there, but I really wanted to get in on maybe a specific person. And as I was scrolling through YouTube, all right, as I tend to do, I saw this post here from Azan Ha'amath. Now I'm not too familiar. The name rings a bell. All right, like not the Ha, but Azan Ha'amath. That rings a bell. I can't, figure out where that bell is being rung from, but I've heard the name. I just can't, remember where. I looked on the page a little bit, and it seems to be he's out in North Cali. It seems like he's done camp with Elder Manat Zakba. Like I said, he doesn't have GMS in the title. I don't know. He does give honors to GMS, so I'm assuming GMS. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with the brother, so Salakia. But sometimes it recommends you people that other people that follow you or are subscribed to you or subscribed to, and so on and so forth. So sometimes you get these brothers that you're not necessarily even subscribed to, all right, that show up. And one of his community posts show up here, and I was looking through it, and I said, yeah, that's interesting. And then the comment down below by this, I'm just going to say brother until, proven otherwise, Tomi Adewale Adatome, all right? And anyway, the post, I'll show you the post here by the brothers on Ha'amath. It says, trying to provoke both a world war and civil war at the same time while demanding a Nobel Peace Prize is a level of insanity I've never seen before. And this is by C.C. Akike. I've never heard of who that is, but it's true. It is true. It is absolute insanity to try to provoke 2 wars and then, demand a Nobel Peace Prize. All right? Anyway, that's the type of shit that Trump does, all right, because he's a narcissist, all right? We can go and look up what a narcissist is. Narcissist. Okay. Already had it up twice, but anyway. This comment down here, all right, Tomi Adewale Adatome says, what a great artist and stage man am I. Nero circa 28 AD. And then Angela Backhart, which really she shouldn't really be posting a scripture like that as a woman, but I mean she does have a point with the Obadiah 1 and 8. Really, Obadiah 1 and 8 is regardless, but women aren't really supposed to be posting scriptures. And so I'm not gonna read this because a woman posted it, but it does that's not the one I was looking for. And it's true. It's true. But the one I was looking for was, all right, Obadiah 1 and 3. Okay. Oops. Come on now. Obadiah 1 and 3, it says, the pride of thine... I want to read up. No, that should be fine. Obadiah 1 and 3. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock. Of course, dealing with, Petra. All right, Mount Seir. All right, where the Edomites, Idumeans dwelled. Now, there was a long history of what went down, but if you wanted to shorten it down, it would be the Edomites. Later went on to, there's ancestors and descendants. All right, went through the Idumeans. And the Idumeans, all right, were merged in. The Idumeans, which are still Edomites, all right, were merged in. It's just like how the best way to explain it, I guess we'll do paint, all right? You know, me and my paint that I like to pull up. So the best way to describe it is how you have like the tribes, all right? So let me show you. Let me see. One minute. Let me see. Bear with me. All right. Anyway, so how do I want to do it? So I guess on the right side we'll do Israel. Okay. Or Israelites. Alright, and then over here, red like they are, we'll have Edomites. Okay. Okay. So, with Israelites, you know, you're going to have Abraham. Alright. Isaac. Is that right? I always forget how to spell Isaac. Yeah, okay. Alright. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Alright, and then so on. Alright. So on. So Abraham, come on now. Okay. And then, of course, you're going to have, there's the tribes, right? So you can just do Judah, Levi, Benjamin, you know. Reuben, you know, Gad, so on and so forth, all right? So, and then okay, that's like, in short, all right, it's not the best way to do it because there's a lot more than that, all right, but really, of course, okay, Jacob, of course, his name was changed to Israel. Edomites, on the other hand, name change, or Esau, all right. Okay, so Esau, name changed, okay, so his name's changed, Edom. Okay, and of course from there we had really how do you want to do it? Of course there was Amalek. So, which is like the small hatters. That was his grandson, by the way. But anyway, like I said, we're not going to do the whole thing, but okay. This is really not the best list, but this is really like a short, very chopped down version of some history. All right, now you can go and look up who was Herod. All right. Okay. Said Herod, most famously Herod the Great, was the Roman appointed king of Judea, all right, known for massive building projects like the Second Temple. Now, what was his lineage? It should say that he was an Edomite. Okay, there you go. All right. Herod was born around 72 BCE in Idumea, south of Judea. He was the second son of Antipater, the Idumean. All right, really, that should have been, interjected in here. And really, Amalek are like an offshoot. All right, because they're the small hatters, but still, it's in their lineage. Okay, not every Edomite is an Amalekite. All right, but it's just like not every Israelite is a Judite or a Benjamite. All right, they might be, from Reuben or Simeonite. All right, or a Gadite. Okay, Levite. All right, but you could see he's what do you say? Herod's father was by descent an Edomite. Okay, his ancestors had been forcibly converted to Judaism. All right, Herod was raised as a Jew. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, whatever you want to say in history, an Edomite. His father was an Edomite. Okay, and you are what your father is. All right, we can go. No, by the house, not tribes, but by the house of their father. All right, Numbers 1 and 18, it says, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. Okay, so you did it by, they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers. All right, so what is a pedigree? All right, we've done this over and over and over again, but we'll continue to do it. Lord willing, we're alive and well to do it. What is a pedigree? Definition, all right? The record or descent of an animal showing it to be purebred, or the recorded ancestry, especially upper-class ancestry, of a person or family. If you look in here, you're going to see bloodline, breed, race. Okay, race. All right, genealogy, race. Paternity, of course, which is talking about father, your father.
Paternity.
All right. State of being someone's father. So even pedigree goes back to your father. Okay? So there you go. It's all about the father. Okay? So it doesn't matter. Whatever. His father was an Edomite. He was an Edomite. And end of story. All right. And through that, this list, all right, they eventually became known as white. Okay? But with Herod, all right, who was a Roman ruler, all right, they became known as the Romans. All right? Romans became known as Europeans and Caucasians, and eventually those terms went away, and they were just called as white. It's the same thing with Israelites. All right, we come through the line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which technically so does Esau. Okay, well, not Jacob, but through Esau, the line of Abraham and Isaac, which makes them Shemitic. All right, Shemitic, not Semitic, but Shemitic. So they are Shemitic. All right, many people are Shemitic. There's a lot of Shemitic peoples. All right, well, I won't say a lot, but there's Shemitic people. You know, the Moabites are technically Shemitic. All right, but just because you're a Shemite doesn't mean you're an Israelite. Okay, an Israelite. Now, of course, Jacob's name was later changed to Israel. So it's not about being from the line of Abraham, Isaac alone, all right? Because, again, Esau is from that line of Abraham and Isaac, okay? But the change happened with Jacob, all right? Jacob, you know, wrestled the angel. His name was, you know, he wanted that blessing. His name was changed to Israel, all right? What was the exact blessing that he was given? Let's go and get it. Man. Here it is. Genesis 32 and 38, and he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince, hast thou power with Yahweh and with men, and has prevailed. I believe Jacob, that name goes back to he's a prince of power, right? It says, and Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. So there you go. So he's a prince of power. He's a, you know, like it says, as a prince, that's how hast thou power with Yahweh and with men, and has prevailed. And so it's important that you're through that line, that blessed line, of, you know, multiple blessings, all right, mind you, multiple blessed line of Jacob, okay? Because Abraham and Isaac, you can't forget the importance, all right? But being of Abraham and Isaac alone, all right, you could end up as an Edomite, all right? And again, so this is, like I said, you know, they ended up becoming white, being called white, all right? Meanwhile, Israelites, all right, you know, once they came through, you know, Jacob, they had several different names, all right? There's 12 tribes of Israel, all right? Any of the 12. You know, you might be a Levite or a Benjamite or a Gadite, all right, a Reubenite, all right? And then, you know, scattering, and then you started getting called, you know, all sorts of names, all right? The darker complected ones, all right, notably Judah, Levi, and Benjamin, all right, became known to some areas as Moors, okay? Now, people like to say, oh, the Moors were a Muslim people. Well, the Moors, all right, that referred to anybody who was dark-skinned, all right, and black-skinned, as they would say, all right? So Moor is not just referring to that. Moor was anybody who was dark, all right, or Moorish people, okay? And then, you know, they went from Moors to being called, you know, eventually after Moors, you know, Negro came, all right, and so on and so forth, and other different names, you know. And then you had the Native Americans, the Latinos, they were called all sorts of different names, all right, Aztecs, you know, all sorts of different types of names. Native Americans were called, you know, Indians, all right, INJIN, all right, Indian, all right, or Indian, all right, Indians, you know, all sorts of, they had other names for them. Then they became, you know, they weren't originally called Native Americans, all right? That's a term that was, you know, they called them Indians, all right? And a lot of people like to say, oh, they called them Indians because they thought they were, you know, Asian Indians, all right? Southeast Asian Indians, and that's not the case, all right? Indian, or India, or Indio, all right, means like a people of God, all right, children of God, or something like that. And they say, oh, it's in Spanish, and that it can roughly translate back to that. And people say, "Oh no, that's not what it is." But first of all, you know, Christopher Columbus. What race was he? What race was Christopher Columbus, or where was he from? All right, Italian. All right. Now they say he was a Sephardic Jew. All right, but said from the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal. So he spoke Spanish. All right. He spoke Spanish. All right. Points to a Spanish Jewish background. Okay. Now, he also brought a Hebrew translator with him. All right. Why? Because he, along with quite a few different groups, let me turn this music down, quite a few different groups back then were under the impression that Israel was scattered abroad and that these lost tribes are out there somewhere. And Christopher Columbus believed that one of those lost tribes happened to be in the Americas. Okay, so that's how that worked out. And again, I'm not going to be able to go down everything in one lesson. All right, but you can look these things up. All right, and they're mostly going to be debunked as false. All right, but you know, the information's not going to come out and just be false. It's just that they're hiding it. They don't want that information to go out. Bear with me. Hey Google, turn on my light. But they just don't want that information to come out, man. So anyway, yeah, man. So they're a prideful people. They're a prideful people. But Obadiah 1:3, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock. That was really, how long are we going on that? That was like a lesson outside of a lesson. So it says in the clefts of the rock, of course, dealing with Petra, the land of Idumea, all right, which, you know, of course, we went into history just then, just a little bit. It says, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? So that's also an Edomite trait, as we're getting in with Nero, all right, and with Trump. You're going to see that is that they have an overwhelming amount of pride, and that's because they're both Edomites. Okay, and you know, there's this quote that this brother, until further notice, at least, like I say, Tomi Adewale Adedum said, "What a great artist and stage man am I?" Nero, 68 A.D. Now, I don't think it was exactly what it translates to. His dying words were "Qualis artifex Hirio." All right, I'm probably butchering that. Let's actually see it.
Qualis artifex pereo.
All right, that was his dying words. All right, what it says, what kind of artist am I? All right, but it translates to what an artist dies in me. All right, or what an artist the world loses with me. All right, reflects his vanity and passion for performance. All right, he was vain. All right, he was vain. And another quote was, you know, Nero played the fiddle while Rome burned. All right, you know, and he was just a proud guy. All right, and he's Donald Trump. All right, he's Donald Trump, man. Let's see if anybody else mentions anything about Nero. You can look up Trump, Nero, GMS. Well, the easiest way to do it is go here. All right, this is the Apostle Gabar. All right, Slacky. This is the Apostle Tahar. Excuse me. And you just type in Nero. Right. What else? Yep, Nero 47. Want to see something. That. There's that one. Trying to find one. Let me see. see. Let's see. What happened to oh, I was gonna say, who? Whoo. I wanted to try to find a little clip. I guess there's no way to do just a little clip. As a matter of fact, you know what? Maybe it's on one of the Apostle Tahara's old pages. But what is the 666 mark? There's another one titled bear with me. Here it is. GMS declaring the end. Call all you Halbash me out shy. Because that could have took a long time. Fine. Let's see. Here's a quick little one from a year ago. Yeah, we'll probably just play that one. And maybe we'll look into this. Let's show you this. Play it. This is from the Apostle Tahara here. So.
Praise the Shalom to the 144,000 and rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. I'm going to entitle this video. It's going to be super quick. And the title of the video is Nero is back. And we here at GMS, myself, really first started saying that Donald Trump is Nero. You know, Nero being reincarnated as Donald Trump.
And not to cut the apostle off, Slakia, but the other thing is that it's true. All right, it's true. I remember when they first started doing it. All right, and no one else was making those comparisons. All right, now you find all these different things online about Trump Nero. You can just look up Trump, or I already did, Nero Trump, and Trump Nero. The trouble with historical comparisons is Trump the new Nero. You know, Trump is Nero. What Donald Trump and a Roman Emperor Nero have in common? Are there any valid comparisons between Donald Trump and Nero? And look, these are all like with, you know, this is from 8 years ago. Narcissistic, pretentious, or personalities and tenuous grip on reality. Okay, so yeah, man, you got to realize that the demic, all right, was already 6 years ago. All right, well, really 7 years ago, if you really want to get down to it, because it started in 2019. Hence the name of the thing that was going around. But 2020 is when it really, you know, fully kicked off. That's when the world descended into chaos and madness. But here we go. Back to the video.
This is from Off-Grid Desert Farming News with Paul and Adriana. Trump, the God Emperor of the universe, notice the all-seeing eye on the sword and other symbology. Right, yeah. You see that sword. You see this is you see him wearing the wreath. So this is an old Roman symbol. You had the Western and the Eastern rule. So you had an eagle with two heads. The Western rule was gone, and you had the Eastern rule, which is also known as the Eastern Roman Empire. Is also known as the Byzantine Empire. Constantine came into power, which were Jakes. So I don't know where this is from. Matter of fact, let me do this. Doesn't really tell you where this is from. Maybe a Latin American country. But you can watch the video. If I remember, I'll leave the link in the description box. If not, just go to this, put this in. I'll go to Off Grid, which I subscribe to him. So he doesn't know that Trump is Nero. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put that in here. Trump was Nero. Nero. In his former life. Reincarnation is a biblical concept.
You heard it. I was just taking a look through some of the comments here. GMS South Virginia said it's obvious he's Nero coming back. It's true. It is pretty obvious. All right. If you got, half a mind, all right, you should be able to deduce that this guy is Nero. I mean, everything. All right. Where were we? This with the Roman, bullshit. I think even one time Trump as Roman tweet, like he made himself into a Roman soldier. Yeah. Not necessarily. That's a gold armored emperor. Democrats bowing at his feet. But I mean, this type of shit. He has that imperial type lust, all right, that really he aims for. But there was one he did, I think there was one where, yeah, here it is, something like that. Or I've seen this photo like this before. Trump as a Roman gladiator, all right, and this guy would fucking shit his pants in a real gladiatorial. Here's him as a pope, all right. There's ones of him as a pilot. All right, this guy's just look at this. Trump as Roman, and then all I typed in was Trump as Roman, and then it just showed up. Here it is. Look, 6 startling similarities between Donald Trump and the Roman Emperor Nero. Lessons from history. Let's go and look into it. All right. Oh, and look at that. That must be that video. That must be the spirit right there. Where were we?
Video. I'm trying to find the spirit to get into a video, but just a quick one.
Let me see if it's the same page. It had to have been. It's the same photo. Yeah. Yeah, hey, call all you how about meow shot. It's the same one. Let's see what he opens with, what he says. Actually, it's 33 minutes. I'd rotate this into your however you're listening to these lessons. All right, just put this in there. All right. Startling similarities between Trump and Roman Emperor Nero. All right, go and watch it. Go and watch it, because that's not something, being 33 minutes, this isn't really something you want to, skim through. I'd recommend just watching the whole thing. All right. But right here, Same article, all right, from 2023 that the Apostle got. It just came up. I wasn't even grabbing it. It just came up in the search. It says former American President Donald Trump requires no introduction, and it's current now. Trump definitely left his mark on contemporary history. He's still leaving his fucking shit-stained mark. It says one of the lasting myths about Nero is that he set Rome on fire and played the lyre while watching his capital burn down. There's an expression that Nero fiddled while Rome burned. The meaning of the expression is that Nero was an ineffectual leader in a time of crisis. It's absolutely true. And how more you guys need to update this, Peter Prescar. You need to come back and update this, man. All right, because what's going on with the world now? You need to update this shit. But yeah, man, and it wasn't. I guess it wasn't a lyre either, but he did play an instrument allegedly. But yeah, you can see this is reincarnation and whatnot. But anyway, let's get into the right here. Look, throughout his reign, Nero spent the state budget lavishly on himself. Okay, and then you need to do the whole thing to read the whole story, but that sucks. But anyway, there's a lot of similarities. I have another page, don't worry. But yeah, that's that pride, and it's because he's a narcissist.
Narcissist.
All right, a narcissist is a person who has an excessive interest or admiration of themselves. Okay, admiration. Okay, regarded as impressive or worthy as respect. All right, and this guy, he's sitting there with his thumb up his ass, essentially. He's for lack of a better word, he's jerking off to himself in the mirror. Anyway, block you for the vulgarity, but that's this type of fucking guy, right? And it says, I said Nero, Rome burning quotes, fiddled while Rome burned. He sang at the fall of Troy. This is more historically accurate, though still disputed. Claimed by writers like Tacticus that Nero performed a song about Troy's destruction while watching the fire. My epic to change the face of the world, a line from the 1951 film Quo Vadis, reflecting the artistic self-aggrandizing view of Nero that fueled the legend. Now, I wanted to look up self-aggrandizing.
Self-aggrandizing.
All right, promoting oneself as being popular or important. And if you go and look up, if you just type in Trump, all right, I bet there'll be a bunch of posts about Trump's self-aggrandizing behavior. Trump's self-aggrandizing transformation of the Kennedy ward, I'm sure is what it's talking about. Kennedy Center, yep. Sycophancy and toadying. All right, what is sycophancy?
Sycophancy.
All right. Obsequious or obsequious.
Obsequious.
All right. Toadying. What is this word? I guess servile. All right, under. All right, puts himself under someone else. I don't know what you're really talking about here. But anyway, overly large words with a overly small message. Trump has lost touch with reality. He says, in the grip of delusion, a powerful person will dismiss and destroy anything that challenges their self-aggrandizing alternate reality. I can't think of anything that represents Donald Trump's overblown self-aggrandizing opinion of himself more than this. Over and over. We're led by stupid people. Trump's speech during his campaigns and presidency was defined by informality, anti-intellectualism, I love that word, insults, self-aggrandizement, demonization, and so on and so forth, right? Love it, and they're all accurate. So all you have to do is type in Trump and self-aggrandizing, and and everything comes up. And you got other posts like this. Trump is Nero. All right. For those of you not familiar with the fall of the Roman Empire, allow me to introduce you to Nero. Read all about him and watch history repeat in real time. This one was interesting. It said Nero was also considered as the Antichrist if you follow early Christian history. Donald Trump also fits that bill to a T. Well, there's not just one Antichrist. There's many Antichrists, anti-Mashiachs. And you see people talking about it. You see Nero, like a Trump, was a narcissist, and narcissistic leaders almost always flame out spectacularly. The parallels are pretty clear. The only I can fix it complex. The lack of long-term post-monarch planning. The complete disregard for reality. Right. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So, and it says Trump isn't known for playing instruments. Well, we don't know what he does, all right? And it doesn't matter if he did. You're not going to always be a one-to-one, all right, of how you were when you come back, all right? But he did post this, Donald J. Trump, right here. This is from him. It says, who knows what this means, but it sounds good to me. My next piece is called Nothing Can Stop What's Coming, all right? Of course, you know, Trump playing the fiddle while Babylon burned, right? It's great. And then we got this. There's a lot with this. What else do I want to get? How long have we been going? 40 minutes. We'll keep going because I was thinking if I wanted to make this a two-parter. Thoughts. Anyway, now we'll keep going. Really, the importance that I want to get on at least, all right, is Ecclesiastes. Anyway, you know, you can go look in these 5 traits that Nero had real quick before we get in there. And because that's what we're gonna close out with. But you see, traits that Nero had: artistic narcissism, ruthless pragmatism, family purges and all this, horrible, shit. Forced audiences to stay in their seats during his hour-long performances, grandiosity and extravagance. All right, populist charisma. Despite his terrible reputation among the Senate, he was surprisingly popular with common people. All right, he had the common touch. All right, which common, really, simplicity. Provided bread and circuses on a massive scale, lowered taxes for the poor. In this case, he's not doing that, but there you go. Paranoia and impulsivity. 5 traits that Donald Trump has: high dominance, extroversion, radical nonconformity. He's conformative. He's just not to whatever you're saying. Absolute loyalty to me-centric leadership. All right, that's narcissism. Okay. The common touch, all right, again, the Nero, and grandiosity. Okay, similarities Nero. The showmanship and politics as a spectacle. Nero broke traditional Roman decorum by performing on stage as an actor and singer. Trump, he was also an actor, all right? He was reality television, right? And that's what he was before in business, all right, before he became president. All right, populist appeal versus elite, anti-establishment. All right, bread and circuses, same thing. Like you see, Nero frequently bypassed the Roman Senate, viewing them as obstacles. Trump often criticized the deep state. All right, branding. All right, use of scapegoating and crisis management. All right, the fiddling mentality. The phrase Nero fiddled while Rome burned, though historically debated, is often invoked by critics of Trump to describe a perceived indifference or focus on self-interest during national emergencies, and then of course demand for absolute loyalty. So that's just who this guy is, man. He's an Edomite, and you can read this. This is a lot, but Donald Trump and the narcissistic illusion of grandiosity. This is by a psychological page, Psych Central. So it probably does a deep dive on how he is. You see, it says there, in modesty and exaggerated self-importance. That's what this guy is. He's self-important. Okay, and that's because he's Nero coming back, man. All right. Ecclesiastes 1:9. It says, "The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us." Well, how do we not remember it then? Verse 11, "There's no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after." Slacking. So if we go from verse 9 again, and we go and get this in the Bible Gateway, and we'll get it in the Amp Bible. All right. Actually, we might just get the Ant Bible. This does it pretty perfectly. It says, that which has been, that which has been is that which will be again. Okay, so if you were born once, you're going to be born again. Okay, and, live another life. It's not just black and then that's it forever, right? It says, and that which hath been done, I'm using the King James literary version, all right? And that which has been done is that which will be done again. So there is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which it can be said, see, this is new? Mind you, going back up to 9, we're under the sun, all right? Everything is under the sun, all right? So it says, at least 99% of things, right? It says, is there anything of which it can be said, see, this is new? It has already existed for the vast ages of time, recorded or unrecorded, which were before us. It's the same thing with the Chicago World Fair, all right? There's a lot of things like that didn't come out for 30, 40, 50 years, all right? Early forms of television, all right? So when people say, this is new, it's not new. It's not new, all right? People say there's no technology. There was technology back then. They found a Greek astrological device. It's called the Antikythera mechanism. Okay, it's basically it says it's an ancient Greek hand-paired orrery. All right, it is the oldest known example of an analog computer. It could be used to predict astronomical positions and eclipses decades in advance. Be used to track the 4-year cycle of athletic games similar to an Olympiad, the cycle of the ancient Olympic Games. Okay, and mind you, this is something that was not considered to be even possible. Okay, it was something that's considered not to even be possible. Okay, and yet it was. There's a model of it, so it shouldn't even be possible. All right, you don't know, all right, because you don't know anything. All right, there was electronics, all right, essentially, and there were computers, all right, analog computers, even back then. All right, there you go. Look, all these different things, and you see the Antikythera or Antikythera mechanism. So there you go. But it couldn't exist, right? Your human understanding pales in comparison to history. It says, is there anything of which it can be said, see, this is new? It has already existed for the vast ages of time, recorded or unrecorded, which were before us. It doesn't matter if it was recorded or not recorded, all right? They still exist. It says, there is no remembrance of earlier things, nor also of the latter things that are to come. There will be for them no remembrance by generations who will come after them. For example, unless we find artifacts, we're not going to necessarily know what was there, what's not there, man. All right, so it's all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. And again, we're under the sun, so we're not new. We come back. All right. And then for the lesson I'm going to do later, Lord willing, I think we'll probably get in a little bit on I think we'll do a little bit about let me see. I'm writing it down or I'll forget. Oh, Matthew 13 and 16. Actually, from verse one of the prophets. Matthew 16:14. All right. So I probably want to grab Matthew 16:14. A couple other ones about reincarnation. Just a little shorter one later. But really, that's what I want to talk about. This was the little deep dive on Trump. All right, for the most part. But, that's where we're going to close out. Lord willing, it was edifying. Lord willing, later, I'm going to put together a little side lesson, all right, a little 10, 15, 20 minute. You never know how long it's really going to go, but about, more reincarnation and proving it's a biblical fact. All right, so that's where we're going to close out. All right, again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. Shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. Till next one, Lord willing. Shalom.